what's going on? It's Bill Burr, and what's going on, guys? Derek Blackman here. Welcome back to Blacking Off, episode 7, 8, or something. I honestly don't even know. I haven't really been keeping up with that stuff, and I haven't been consistent, which I apologize, and that is going to end. I am going to stay consistent. I've been way too unfocused with everything that's been happening and just personal things that are going on in my life. And I pretty much just decided to start tuning everything out and really start focusing and grinding more and just getting back to the way that I intended things to be. Because I talked about, I think at the beginning of the year or even maybe even last year, where I had plans. I made like an update video on my main channel, and I don't even remember everything that it said, but I know all the things that I said that I was going to focus on. I've been slacking off on. And for the people that are watching this, you probably noticed that the format is different. I thought that I wanted to make it more of a actual podcasty kind of format where it's just relaxed. I'm sitting down, I'm chilling, and I can also pull up videos on the fly. It'll be better for reacting to stuff. I'm pulling up clips when I'm talking about things instead of just making it more of how, a regular video was. Because what I was doing before was like, I'm going to treat it like it's any other videos, but it's just all kind of meshed together. So it wasn't really like kind of like a podcast, you know what I mean? It was more of just like, I'm going to talk about specific subjects that interest me, and then it's just going to be in long form, which it just wasn't good. It was very time consuming, and the point was to isolate all the clips, all the segments, and then post them individually after the podcast was up. Because let's be honest, most people, they consume the clips in segments. Like, say, a lot of times the segments will get way more than the entire podcast itself, and that is true for even people that are big time podcasts, like say Joe Rogan's podcast, for example. Some of his JRE clips get more views than the podcast itself, and it's understandable. Sometimes the podcasts are on average 3 hours long, and then a clip will be anywhere from like 10-ish to 17 to 20 minutes long, so it's way much easier to consume, which I understand. So I'm gonna do this. I think it'll make things easier for me. I think I think you guys will enjoy this more because it's gonna allow me to react to some other stuff. There's some things that I've been thinking about doing too, is just reacting, like say having one segment where it's just silly, or maybe I react to like a YouTube poop or something like that. If you guys aren't aware what a YouTube poop is, it's something that's been around probably since like '07. It got really popular in '08, '09, where people sentence mix stuff, what they call it. They just take clips, they just cut clips from something. Started with things like King of the Hill, Beauty and the Beast, whatnot, and then they just cut it, and then they mix it all together, what they call sentence mixing, make them say really egregious stuff. And it's one of my favorite things on YouTube, bar none. It really is my favorite thing on YouTube. I think maybe we'll go through one of them, and I think that would be really fun. But I'd say let's get into the first segment. We got a couple of interesting things to talk about. One of them, if you've seen the title, you know what's coming.
A female deer.
I bet it's been a very long time since you've heard the word otherkin. I bet it's been a very, very long time, because it's been a long time for me. It was that whole Tumblr madness. Remember when Tumblr was just popping? It was always, everybody was talking about it. There was so much cringe, and it was kind of fun to explore it and see the crazy and how just deep down the crazy could go. And then the things kind of started to quiet down, especially since there were so many weirdos on there that got kicked off because they banned pornography. They're like no more. And I understand why. It's because there was too much illegal stuff going on there, and I understand that. It's one of the things where like, oh, that's unfortunate, but I get it. You want to just keep the creeps from going really hard in the paint with their creepiness. I get it. It's one of the things that I would be annoyed, but I wouldn't freak out if they did that for Twitter as well, because Twitter is just, it allows everything. And then there's all of this stuff springing up, stuff that just makes me angry to even, one of the reasons why I don't even talk about stuff like that, because it just makes me angry. It just makes me really mad to see all. Like say, I have a series called Twitter Trash, and every time I ask people, hey, send me some trash tweets so that I can react to. Every time somebody sends me a tweet that is, there's something called maps, and I just will leave it at that. If you know what it is, okay, but I just don't like talking about it because it just infuriates me. But I digress on that. We're gonna talk about, I guess everyone's dubbing her Deer Girl or something. You know, like this person legitimately thinks she's a deer and does a lot of really dumb stuff. And I thought it was really silly, right? Because there was this clip that surfaced on Twitch, and when I first saw it, I was just like, "Oh, that's really silly. That's kind of gross. It kind of makes me cringe. It kind of, to be honest, it makes me a little bit nauseous." And I didn't think too much of it, but then I saw other people saying things that, oh, she has an important role on Twitch. And so if you look at this right here, this post, let me actually just zoom in a little bit more. It says, this is a member of the Twitch Trust and Safety Council having a deergasm on stream. So this is the thing that I saw. And let me make sure this isn't too loud because I don't want to like make you guys deaf. Let me turn down this a little bit, and we'll just play this. So, this is what we all saw. Look at that shit. Yeah. Super cool. Super awesome. That's really cool. The thing that's like... The thing that's like really weird about this, you know, and for the people that are listening, there's just this fake news deer that is sitting down streaming on Twitch, and then her partner or somebody, I'm assuming it's her partner, is scratching her head, and then she's acting like, you know, the way that animals, like a dog, will kick its leg when it's being scratched or whatever, and she's doing the same thing, and it's just really weird. And you know, if that's what they're into, fine. But obviously, if that stuff is public, I'm going to laugh at it because it's silly. It's just silly. You know, I talked about this a little bit on the Snark Tank podcast, but the episode won't be out until Thursday. It's already out for patrons. But we talked about it a little bit. And one thing that I said is that, you know, there's certain people that we don't laugh at. There's people, you know, that have certain disabilities that they can't help, and you wouldn't laugh at it. You wouldn't make fun of them. That would be really cruel. But when there's stuff like this type of mental illness, you can't help but laugh at it. And it's the same thing for, it's the same thing for, like, I know there's people that think they're Jesus. There's people that think they're Michael Jackson. I went to this burger joint a few days ago, and the dude that was sitting or actually standing in front of the bus stop is yelling and taunting nothing. There was nothing there. And he's puffing his chest out. And he's like, what? And he's like, he looked like he was ready to really throw down with somebody. And I made sure I wasn't making eye contact because he probably would have ran over and tried to do something. You know, I was in my car, but still. It was one of the things that this guy is unstable. And even though it's kind of sad, you can't help but laugh at it. And so that's kind of where I was at. And, you know, so that's pretty much all I saw was with this. I just a little bit of a laugh, a chuckle, a little uncomfortable. But then it got much weirder because the next clip that I saw was this right here. I think this is the right one. Because I have a few of them actually lined up of this a wonderful human being. So let's see if this is the right one.
No, I'm just not cool with white supremacy, y'all. It's really not that. I think a lot of you gamers are actually white supremacists.
Oh.
Sorry. Just a fact of how I feel.
Oh.
Which isn't no.
Yeah, so there you go. Remember this type of speech, guys, from back in 2014 and 2016 when gamers were all racist, straight white males and all that stuff, the whole Gamergate era, that type of stuff. Remember all that? And then things finally started to die down after it wasn't making money. These companies started to realize that they were losing a ton of money because people were being really stupid and progressive, and people don't want to consume things when certain ideals are shoved down their throats. So that stuff started to dissipate, and it was pretty great. But there is always remnants around the corner. And this is Exhibit A. So this is a person that's on the Trust and Safety Council, Twitch. I didn't even know that Twitch had a Trust and Safety Council. I know Twitter did. And if I remember correctly, Anita Sarkeesian is a part of it. If I remember correctly. Now, I could be wrong. It could be actually YouTube and not Twitter, but I'm pretty sure it's Twitter. So I guess Twitch has one too. And look, it makes sense because Twitch has been an abomination for a while now. A very unfair thing. You see, there's so many people, so many men usually, that get either suspended or banned for the smallest things. And this is their policies. This is their guidelines. However, a lot of women would get away with a lot of stuff. We've seen it all. I think everybody knows about Alinity, right? Alinity with, she yeets the cat, throws it over her shoulder. She gives the cat vodka on the stream. A lot of things. She's done a lot of things. She accidentally flashed a titty on stream, and they didn't even suspend her. She did it herself, from what I remember, just to kind of like have people calm down. She like suspended herself for a few days because the heads of Twitch just keep protecting people like that, protecting people like Pokimane, stuff like that. So it makes sense that they would have somebody like this on the Trust and Safety Council or whatever. It's like it just makes total sense. And here's a little bit more of this really cool person.
So, but I'm hanging in there, and I'm not going anywhere. I have power. They can't take it away from me.
Oh.
And honestly, there are some people that should be afraid of me, and that they are.
Wow.
I represent moderation and diversity, and I'm gonna come for hurtful, harmful people. If you're a really shitty person, I'm gonna stand up against you. Period. And Twitch is endorsing me to do that. So
that's that is so like. See, that's when things started to get a little bit like, okay, that's not good. That's not good at all, because this type of person is just not going to be fair about things. She already said that, oh, I think a lot of you are white supremacists, a lot of you gamers. So she's going to get a lot of people banned. She's going to do a lot of things. And see how the flexing of the power and the look on her face too. Look at that grin. Look at that. Like, that's not, let's be real. Like, that's not a good person. Like, a person that acts like that, that's not somebody that you want to give power to. And unfortunately, those are the people that are always seeking power. Even if it's kind of minuscule, even if it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, like anything people can kind of get a hold of, they just hold on to it, and they just love it so much. And to me, it's really egregious. I mean, it's the same reason why we keep getting the same, and we're in the same situations in the political system. All these people are trying to hold on to power as much as possible, and they don't really care about the well-being of people. It's all about their agenda. And so it's the same for this person right here. And let's see. I think I have a little picture that shows that this person is a part of the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, which we all know is just really egregious, and we know that they've gone head-to-head with PewDiePie and whatnot. They're just not a good organization. But so look, it says right here, Ferociously Steph Lore is a professional community leader and video game live streamer on the service twitch.tv for the past 3 years. Twitch is a platform, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Steph is passionate about using this connection for good, building mutually beneficial bonds and relationships on a medium usually used exclusively for entertainment. She is transgender, obviously, and an advocate for authenticity, challenging herself and others find and express truth. Challenging herself and others to find and express truth through vulnerability. And so that sounds all cute and bubbly. And it just really just sends me down a road that I'm like, what year is it? What years? You guys know the meme? You guys know the meme by Robin Williams from Jumanji? Like that's how I feel, because it's been a while since we've heard stuff like this. It's been a while since we've heard anything about the Anti-Defamation League. It's been a while for any of this stuff, really. And so, and you know, this person is not. It's a normal thing. It happens a lot. Look at this deer bullshit. Look at this. Look at this. It's so silly. What is that?
What's nice about forest creatures is that they'll sort of give you feedback.
Is look, I'm not trying to kink shame. Not really. But is that, do you people objectively, is this do you think this is the type of person that should have some sort of power in making decisions on who's good and bad or whatnot? This person has already exercised that they're not, or that they are biased. And that's the thing that's concerning me. I don't really care about the deer fetish and the weird tickling things on stream, which I think is actually really fucking weird to do that on stream. I actually think that if I did the same thing, to be honest, if I did the same thing, I would be banned. I don't even think I'd be suspended. I think I'd be banned. If I got on Twitch and was having somebody come over and tickle me into a fake orgasm or whatever, I think I would be kicked off pretty quickly. So it's kind of like, it's annoying because it's just showing kind of more of that biased. And honestly, I've been thinking about joining, or like I've been on Twitch. I started streaming on Twitch back in 2017. And I thought about coming back. I was like, I need to come back to Twitch. I really need to come back to Twitch. It'll be good for me because I've been streaming on YouTube, but I really got to do multiple platforms. But there's always something that's kind of keeping me away. It's all the stuff all the unfair stuff that they're doing. Guys getting banned for the same things that girls do, and they don't get banned at all or suspended at all, anything like that. And then when you see the type of people that are employed there, you're like, oh, okay, all right. It just kind of makes you like, I know for a lot of people, they really probably don't give a fuck because they're making a ton of money on Twitch. And I guess I probably wouldn't be that concerned either if I was making a ton of money. But I mean, to be honest, I've never been just about like the money. Like, say, getting money is like, say, not the end game, which maybe it should be because I don't make that much money. And I see how to make a lot of money. I see what people are doing to make a ton of money. I see that they're spitting out content just every day as much as possible and having people just eat it up. It doesn't even matter if they have anything good or bad to say. They just keep talking and keep gathering the watch numbers and getting into the algorithm. And I get it. But to be honest, I'm just not interested. I'm not. I'm really not. If I had something really interesting to say and there was enough stuff to really talk about every day and not try to scour the internet and beg people to give me tips about something that I can try to find, then, like I would be on board, but that's not the case. And so, I don't know, man. This shit's weird. I thought you guys would have a little laugh. I thought you guys maybe, hopefully you're not angry watching this. I hope that I'm sure you can be concerned, but I hope that you kind of got a little bit of a chuckle out of this. I hope that, it kind of just made you be like, I thought I was fucking crazy, but I'm pretty on the level. I'm all right.
Putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
I used to be a conspiracy theorist, but not like full blown, just like somewhat. Like there was maybe a couple that I believed in, and since then of question and be like, I'm not so sure about that. And I thought it would be pretty fun to kind of like talk about this stuff. And I've never really talked about conspiracy theories on this channel before, at least not to my knowledge. I don't really remember. Maybe on a stream things would come up, but I don't think I've ever made like a video about stuff like this. And I thought it would be pretty fun. And maybe it might even be a little bit controversial, but I think the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I don't think it should be controversial. And the reason why I guess it even becomes controversial in the first place is because there's a lot of hostility towards people who are kind of conspiratorial, you know, or like say they think like everything's a conspiracy and stuff, and a lot of people become like really hostile and just kind of shitty towards people like that. And I've never really liked that. I've always thought that you should take the approach of take the opportunity, or take it as an opportunity to try to educate somebody or help them, and not try to ridicule them or make fun of them, because they're obviously not going to change. They're probably going to bunker down, and you know they're gonna harden, and it's gonna be damn near impossible to reach them or something like that. And now I think that with most people that are into a lot of conspiracy theories, I think it started with people like Alex Jones. It's the reason why I have this pulled up, because there was a time, I would say maybe around like 2009, 2010, where I was like, oh yeah, this guy seems pretty legit. There was a lot of wacky stuff he would say, obviously, but I always found him entertaining, and I still do. You know, I recognize that he says a lot of things that are really messed up and has not done anyone any good other than, you know, himself lining his pockets. But I still nonetheless find him entertaining, all the way up to him being on the Joe Rogan podcast, all the way, you know, just back in the day ranting about Charlie Sheen, or not ranting about Charlie Sheen, but having Charlie Sheen on, and he's ranting about winning and Tiger Blood and all that stuff, because I was checking out his radio show around that time. Now, what kind of kicked this off, I thought it would just be fun, that it was kind of hard to pull this up. It was weird. I put in the search thing, like if you see what I put in the search bar right here, I put in Your Little Bitch featuring Alex Jones, and that should pull it up because there's no other videos like that on YouTube. Couldn't pull it up in the search engine, so I had to manually pull it up on my channel, which I thought was really weird, because I know I definitely searched for this not that long ago. So maybe they're doing a better job of scrubbing his name, because that's one thing that, you know, all the major tech companies are scrubbing Alex Jones off the internet. So I thought I'd play this because there's probably a lot of people that are subscribed to me now that aren't even aware that I did this. When Eminem came out and did that freestyle trashing Trump, and it was pretty cringe, let's be honest. Alex Jones came out and called Eminem a little bitch, and I thought it was hilarious, so I turned it into a hip-hop beat, and then I decided to rap over it. So let's listen to this, and then we'll kind of get into the conspiracy theories that I thought were true.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Alex Jones, greatest meme I've ever known. Rocking on the microphone, turning coming gay with them chemicals, it's crazy. Government is shady, modern day Hades. Take a sip of water, now my memory is hazy. Spot a chemtrail, better cover up my nose. Superman vitality, I'm better than a rose. Get ready for 1776. We're breaking the conditioning cause you're a little bitch.
So that's pretty much it. And I was supposed to make a part 2, and I never got around to it. I never got around to making a part 2 because I wanted to isolate the perfect clip, but I never found it. That's not true. I actually did find a clip of Alex Jones doing some type of weird sword move, like he was going like yah ha, and I can't remember what I did with that clip, and I don't remember where I even got it from. So I was just like, whatever, it doesn't matter. So now, to start off with some of the conspiracy theories, now I didn't believe in like a ton of them or whatever, but I remember there was one back in like 2009, 2010 or something that I thought seemed pretty plausible. And I remember watching this documentary right here. It's called What in the World Are They Spraying? And I remember watching it and thinking like, yeah, seems to make sense, but I'm not sure why. Because I haven't seen it since like whenever the fuck it came out, like a decade ago or something. But I don't remember what I saw that was compelling. Like you can already see that there's like an InfoWars thing in the very beginning. And one thing that I do remember, I was having some lung issues. It happened to me twice. Once in high school where my lungs were just, something was wrong with them, and I never went to I would never go to the doctors. My lungs hurt so much to where coughing was like the worst pain ever. And God forbid if I sneezed, I probably would pass out from the pain. And then I remember happening again in 2010. Like my chest felt so horrible. And then I remember the chemtrail stuff started springing up, and I'm like, well, that must be it. They're spraying aluminum and all this other bullshit in the air, and it's making me sick. And so I think that's one of the reasons I think I wanted to believe it. And I imagine if I watched this documentary now, I would just be like, what? Because I really don't remember why I thought this was so compelling. Because it just talks about the whole
chemtrails.
Yeah.
On the internet, they are cited as proof of the government creating clouds to combat global warming.
They claim the American government, with the secret approval of the national government, is covertly using jet aircraft to spray population centres with aluminium, with barium, and with strontium so as to reduce people's immunity and reduce the global population.
Yep, that's now the thing is that I thought that was really strange is I'm like, I don't really remember believing that the government was trying to depopulate people, because I think that's a really stupid way to do that. I think that there are much easier ways to depopulate the country or something, or the world or whatever. So I just thought that for whatever reason this was kind of happening. And, I got hip to it pretty quick by obviously condensation trails and people explaining that, no, this isn't happening. I don't know what the hell is going on with these people, why they believe in this stuff, or where they think they have proof and whatnot. And so there was a point where I kind of was just like, okay, never mind. I thought I knew what was going on, but I was really ill-informed, and it happens a lot. And, the thing that I think is really important is I got information from people that were being very chill, and they were taking the opportunity to have people like, let me explain what's happening. Let me explain why this stuff seems like it may be the case, but let me show you what's actually happening. Let me show you the proof of what contrails are and everything, and how this has been going on. If you look at old pictures, because I remember one of the arguments was that, oh, these things weren't around back in the day. How come you didn't see this stuff back in the day? And if you look at old ass pictures when cameras were starting to, really take off, yes, there were contrails. When planes were flying, you saw them. And that was something that made me like, oh, like people are just talking shit, and they're not backing any of that stuff up. Not really. They're taking things that seem kind of juicy and then just misleading you. And that's, so a few decades, not a few decades ago, but a decade ago or so, I thought this was legitimate, but I don't feel the same way. Not at all, really. And the thing that, I guess the other thing, and I couldn't find any, I never got deep into it, but I thought there was something suspicious about vaccines, but I never got deep into it. I never thought there was some like weird conspiracy, or there was like, say, they say that, oh, they cause autism or whatever. I was never on that camp, but I was on the camp of like, say, being cautious or suspicious. And I don't remember why. I imagine it had to do something with Alex Jones, but I can't pull any information or even show you I watched something specific or something that really got my noggin jogging. I'm like, oh yeah, that's it right there. I just thought it was because I know some people have had bad reactions, but I quickly learned that, yeah, people have bad reactions to almost everything. There's some people that if they eat peanuts, they'll die. So I didn't really trip out too much when I started looking into it. But there was a part of me that was thinking, I don't know, they may be unsafe. I think people should probably be careful. And I don't really feel the same anymore. I wouldn't even say I don't really. Like, I don't feel the same way that I do. I don't think Bill Gates is doing anything sinister. I just don't think anything like that. I think they're pretty fucking safe. I really do. I do trust the people that I know personally that know this stuff extensively, and they wouldn't bullshit people. They don't have any agenda. People that I know, some of my peers, they don't have any agendas. Maybe if they worked for the government or something, I'd be like, I don't know, can I trust you? But no, they're just regular people that care about hard facts and logic and all that shit. So it didn't go too far into that. And that's pretty much it as far as things that were like super crazy. However, there's one thing I wanted to bring up because of like, it's probably one of the biggest controversies out there, and it's 9/11, because 9/11 is such a weird event that it makes people freak out whenever you talk about it. like, say, I don't really appreciate the people that try to shout people down that are asking questions that have like, or that even claim the official story is kind of wonky or something. Because I think if you look at things objectively, you can just say that and you don't have to say anything else. You're not implying anything. You're just saying, oh, this is weird. Like, say, if I were to apply Occam's razor, this doesn't really seem to line up with that. Like, I remember there being an episode of South Park where they were saying the 9/11 conspiracy theories, all the conspiracy theories were correct and stuff. And I think it was George Bush that was laying out, like, this was the plan that happened. And I think it was Kyle, might have been Stan or Kyle, I don't know, that was going like, really? Like, this is what really happened? And the way that they lined out all the plans and everything, the conspiracy theories, it seemed crazy. Like, this is the lengths they went to do whatever their agenda was. And I remember laughing at that and also thinking that, well, the funny thing is the official story, in my opinion, is crazier than the conspiracy theories. And to me, that doesn't mean anything. It just means that what a wild and wacky fucking event. That's what that meant to me. But I think other people would take that shit way too far. And I think there was a time where I thought that, like, I was kind of onto something. But then I just took steps back and realized, like everybody else, I don't know shit about this stuff. I wasn't at any meetings with the terrorists. I don't know what they did or what the government did or anything like that. But I always think it's fascinating to talk about stuff like that. I think it really is because I'm a history buff. I adore history, absorbing history. Usually in my off time when I'm just playing games, I usually have a history podcast playing in the background or something. One of my favorites that I fell in love with is Dan Carlin's Hardcore History because there's just so much content. Or I'll just try to watch something like 20-minute videos like biographics sometimes. But I could go on. That's not the point. My thing is that there's so many things in history that are so weird and fascinating that it's not a huge stretch. I understand why people are so inquisitive about things like 9/11. And I don't understand why people get so crazy about it when people are asking questions. Not the people that are outright claiming like this happened, I know this happened, I know it was this. Because those people, like, yeah, they can fuck off. But the people that are like scratching their heads and are asking questions like, don't you think this is weird? Like, well, what's wrong with that? That brings me to something that I wanted to bring up. I want to bring up an interesting story that I have from 2011. I invited a girl over to my house, and because the Twilight Zone just came onto Netflix, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna binge the Twilight Zone. So I called this girl over. I'm like, let's go watch it. And I was working a really tough job at the time, and I fell asleep. And when she was calling me and stuff like that, I just didn't answer. And so when I woke up, I felt like shit because obviously she came all the way over here and then she had to leave. And so I told her, I'm going to make it up to you. I'm going to take you out to eat and whatnot. So I just took her to the Cheesecake Factory. And, it was pretty pricey, especially for, well, I think I was like 20 or 21. I think I was 21 or something like that. I don't fucking know. And, no, maybe I was like 22. Fuck, I don't even know how old I am. Goddamn. Or at least how old I was back then. And, we started talking about stuff like this, things that you don't normally talk about on dates, but we were going to watch Twilight Zone, so we're into like kind of interesting stuff. And I remember bringing up something like the Bilderberg meeting, and she thought it was like the craziest shit ever. Like, you think that shit's real? Kind of a thing like that. And I'm like, yeah, it's not a big deal. I'm like, doesn't it make sense that rich and powerful people would all meet up together and talk about, policies and things like that? I'm not even saying it's a stretch that they're controlling and pulling all the strings. I'm just saying that, doesn't that make sense? And she was really like, no, that sounds insane. And I thought, like, how does that sound insane? I'm like, people meet up and do things and conspire at all different levels. Why is that crazy? And the funny thing is, like, you can pull up things that, CNN, like, everybody just talks about it now. It's not like a hidden thing anymore. It's just like, yeah, this is what they do. And I think that it shows you kind of how far we've come to where, like, yeah, there's no reason to be secretive about this, because obviously rich and powerful people would get together and talk about influencing stuff. Like, why wouldn't they do that?
The Bilderberg Group is a meeting of the most influential people in Europe and North America.
Yeah.
Wall Street investors, business moguls, politicians,
Oh, yeah.
royalty. They're all coming together and keeping the media and everyone else out. What are they discussing? What are they plotting? Doesn't the public have a right to know? Well, apparently no, though.
No. And I mean, yeah, so a lot of people are obviously like kind of like what's going on, and I've heard people have infiltrated. I don't know about that. I really haven't heard anything like smoking gun, but there was obviously things like the Bohemian Grove where Alex Jones infiltrated that, and that's just well known. Everybody knows about that. Back in the day when Alex Jones had some things, you know, like to say a broken clock is right twice a day or something like that, right? So Alex Jones was on point with some stuff. And that was one of the things where he broke in and showed all these like really rich and powerful people worshiping the Moloch, right? And it was just so weird. And if you told a normal person that, you would probably think, well, that's absolutely crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist, fuck off. But no, stuff like that exists. It happens. And the one thing that I've noticed, though, is why a lot of people push back, at least in my opinion, and it really rang true. It was when because there was a Fight Companion that Joe Rogan does with his friends, and Brian Callen is one of those people that pushes back so much where he's being kind of hostile. And I'm always like, why are people so fucking hostile? And Brian Callen had like a really good, it was like it represented most people where it's kind of scary and they don't want to believe this stuff. They don't want to believe that there's all of this, you know, these people with high influence, like doing all this kind of shady stuff. And so they kind of choose to push back. Like it kind of almost attacks their ego in a sense. And it's not even like it, because to me, it's like when you think about it on just an Occam's razor level, you're like, why wouldn't rich and powerful people get together and discuss things? Because they actually have the ability to influence the world. Like they have the ability to do stuff. So why not be like, hey, let's meet up and like, let's maybe trade some stuff. Let's go into business together. Why wouldn't they do that? That doesn't sound crazy at all. Now, the whole Moloch thing in the Bohemian Grove, that does sound crazy. And it is crazy because I would never do some shit like that. But hey, remember, there's dudes that like bang each other in frat initiations and weird shit. It's not the craziest thing, but it is pretty crazy. So I think I have this clip right here that's pulled up where they're kind of talking about this on the Joe Rogan Fight Companion. And I hope I have it at the right place. I actually don't really remember, but we'll see.
That's what we're
Brian
talking
Callen,
about.
look at this. This is hidden footage that John Ronson and Alex Jones got from Bohemian Grove in like the fucking late 90s.
Oh, yeah. Say, how old is
I
this
think
shit?
like, was it early 2000s
Pretty
or
cloudy.
something? Shut the fuck.
And see Brian Callen's like trying to push back. He's being funny, but at the same time, you know, he just kind of, at the beginning, like when they started talking about this type of stuff, he was pushing back about a lot of stuff. And it was kind of the same thing that happened to me when I took that girl out to the Cheesecake Factory. Like she was just pushing back and she was being very hostile and I didn't understand. I'm like, I'm not saying anything like I'm not talking about fucking reptilians or something. I'm not talking about like what ancient aliens or something that's like a bunch of nonsense. I'm talking about rich and powerful people meeting up because they fucking can. Why wouldn't they?
Fuck up. You can hear them. They're lighting things on fire. There's the Moloch, the owl
it's a
god.
corn concert.
They're saying all this
A corn concert.
crazy
Corn
shit.
concert.
Put the volume on so you can hear it. Put the
Jamie
volume
got
on.
that.
Listen to the volume.
Yeah, so I don't need to, like, let me see if I can go ahead a little bit, actually, because,
Listen to this shit.
like, you know,
Give me the volume of them talking.
I think everybody knows about the Moloch stuff. What I want to get to is where, like, Brian Callen's kind of, like, explaining why he doesn't really want to believe this stuff.
Drugs, nobody's.
Unfortunately, I can't find the specific clip in it. I thought it was right after where I stopped it, where Brian Callen starts talking about, like, why he pushes back so hard. I wanted to kind of show you that I think this is the same reason why a lot of people do it. I had a friend that the same thing happened with him and his brother, where that he's just like, yeah, a lot of that stuff, thinking about a lot of that stuff is really creepy, man. And I just don't really want to get that deep into anything. And I'm like, I get it, especially because there's things like Skull and Bones and Bohemian Grove and Bilderberg. Because there's things like that, some people go off the absolute deep end. You have like Eddie Bravo, right? Like Eddie Bravo's there, and he's as crazy as they come. He's a genius when it comes to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he believes in flat Earth, and he doesn't think the moon landing's real and stuff like that. So I see how you can go down that road, but I think most people don't. I think most people just see some weird shit and then they question it. And then a lot of times, if you have the right information to correct somebody, boom, there you go. It's done. It's corrected. But I think a lot of people just get like all flustered and crazy. And that's one thing that always annoyed me. Like when it comes to things like 9/11, I'm like, if you are just being honest, you have to admit that the official story seems wonky. And that doesn't prove anything either way. It doesn't. I think that people that get mad about that stuff, I just would be like, what is wrong with you? You can't even admit that. Like, it's not even admitting anything. You can't admit that it is even possible that somebody, rich and powerful people might want to concoct a plan to, sacrifice some people so they can make billions of dollars. Like, a lot of people, they scoff at that shit, and I'm like, you need to learn about history. I'm not saying this actually happened, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities because of shit like that's happened like that over and over and over and over again. I mean, one of the most infamous ones is the Gulf of Tonkin. That's proven like they call it the false flag, or it's a proven conspiracy fact, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's a conspiracy. It's something that just happened. It's declassified. It's there. You can read all about it. And so it's one of those things that throughout history, there's plenty of things I could have an entire episode about this stuff. But it's not about that. It's just about like saying that there's crazy shit that happened throughout history all the time. So this isn't that crazy when you think about it. I mean, you can even get to like a low level thing, like say your iPhone or your phone, your smartphone that you have, you are willing to let, like, say, very less fortunate people, poor people, people in third world countries just live in squalor and just have the worst jobs and stuff, and people in sweatshops to get your Jordans. You are willing to sacrifice these people's well-being so you can have your nice little things, and I'm one of them. I'm not saying that I'm not a part of this whole thing. I have an iPhone. You know what I'm saying? So what my point is that if people are willing to sacrifice other people's well-being to gain little toys and trinkets and cool little things like this, why would it be out of the realm of the possibility of billionaires sacrificing a few thousand people to line their pockets with billions more, maybe even trillions? It's not a stretch to think about. It's really not. So that's why I don't think it's a big deal that some people would question or even think that way, because weirder shit has happened. Absolutely weirder shit has happened. And so the people that kind of get mad about this shit, I think they just need to calm the fuck down. That's all. Sure, get mad at the people that are preaching and telling you how things are. It's like, I know the truth and this is this. And you're like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, seriously, even if somebody is questioning the earth and they're like, I don't know, so some of that flat earth stuff seems kind of compelling, you don't need to jump down their throat. you could go, bruh, I have the information that can really show you how that's just not a probability. It's not even in the realm of a possibility of it being flat. Like, let's talk about this. And then you can kind of lead them down a path to where they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, what I was thinking was pretty fucking silly. You're right. And then everything's kind of chill. And I really think that's really important. Because honestly, if people were being absolutely hostile towards me, there was a possibility that, say, stuff like chemtrails that I did believe in, maybe I would be kind of hard-headed. I usually am not, but who knows? Who knows what would have happened if somebody was giving me shit and then my ego was bruised and then I wanted to double down on it. Who knows? Maybe I would have done that, but probably not, because I've never really been that person. I've always questioned damn near everything. Even when I was a little kid and I was trying to be indoctrinated with religion, it just didn't make sense to me at all. Like, say, obviously chemtrails made more sense to me because at least I could see something. I saw this, and then what people were putting together, I'm like, that seems to make sense to me. But not like, say, just believe in invisible shit because this fucking old book. I was just like, I can't do it. I'm sorry, people, I can't do it. But I thought this would be really interesting to talk about. I thought this would be really fun, and I hope you guys got something out of it. And you know, maybe a lot of you guys agree with me. Maybe there's some people that are scoffing and rolling their eyes, and that's fine too. All I can say is to the people that are scoffing and rolling their eyes, you know, try not to be so fucking hostile to people, because that's not how you're going to change people's minds or try to win them over to, you know, into be like into using, you know, getting something that's like factual and then having people go down that route. You know, they say you catch more flies with pussy. I mean, honey.
Peggy, I need you to fix her now. Without my quiet time, I'm not an effective cocaine salesman.
I'm really excited about this. I'm so insanely excited about this. I've been wanting to do this for a while, is just kind of react to YouTube poops, because they are my favorite thing on YouTube. They've been around for years and years, and they've always been my favorite stuff, because sentence mixing, it's a talent. I've actually made one myself. It was very short, but it took me like maybe 2 hours to make. It was only like 40 seconds.
I'm TJ Big Easy Kirk, and I anally raped Undoomed and Armored Skeptic and Crowton T and Chris Raygun and Anthony Fantano and Mr. Repsion and Jank Uger. I'm unstoppable, and I think that's important to understand. When I was a child, I loved rape and murder, but I'm not here to defend rape and murder. But I will say, rape dogs, and I'm free to rape and murder whomever I please. Despite all these good things about my deep asshole, come to me and kill the president. I hope I've made myself perfectly clear, and there will be no need for further discussion on this frankly tedious subject matter. Assholes.
And it takes time to put these things together, and people make some amazing ones. And this one right here is one that's not even that old, and it's definitely one of my favorite, which is crazy because, you know, they've been around for so long. I already have all of my favorites, but this one has worked its way up to the top. So it is called, you know, YTP YouTube Poop, good old PU, and it's about PragerU. And this is so good. I love it so much. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna watch it together. It's just gonna be a good laugh, and you'll understand if you're not familiar with YouTube poops, you'll understand very quickly why they're my favorite thing on this fucking earth.
If you want to control people's thoughts, begin by controlling their thoughts. That's totalitarian thinking.
You know, there's one thing about YouTube poops that some people will kind of be turned off. There's things that go like that, stuttering, and sometimes they'll be really loud, like say what they call it ear rape, where it's just kind of like blowing out your headphones or whatnot, or your speakers. There's stuff like that goes down that people kind of really don't like, but for the most part, it doesn't do it often, so you don't have to worry too much.
A decade ago, few people could even tell you what the word thoughts meant.
Have you ever pushed a beach ball underwater? What happens? It pops right back up. Have you ever pushed a baby underwater? What happens?
The baby fucking dies.
Capital.
That's the first example of sentence mixing. Just making them say that the baby fucking dies. That's one of my favorite things. It's so good, and there's so many beautiful ones, and I think this is something that I want to make recurring, because that's how much I just adore YouTube poops.
Capitalism is based on human greed. Socialism is based on toilet paper.
If you want to avoid a bad outcome with a police officer, follow this simple rule. When a cop gives you a lawful command, say no.
You don't have to.
That's fantastic advice. Like, obviously, that's perfect. You don't need to know anything else. Perfect.
Have to be religious to be religious.
The existence of God only ensures the existence of God. Imagine for a moment a world in which there was no murder or theft. This would drive me mad. I like murder. I like to kill people for fun.
I've used that so much. I've clipped it, and pretty much whenever Dennis Prager props up on Twitter, because it makes the rounds. A lot of people, the tweets from PragerU are pretty silly, so then they'll make the rounds, and I'll definitely try to hop on and post that little clip right there, because it's I love it because it doesn't even sound, a lot of the times sentence mixing will sound like bullshit. Like you can barely, it's almost unintelligible. Sometimes you even need a text to really know what they're saying. But this one is done so well. It could legitimately sound like he's saying this, like he's serious about it.
Imagine for a moment a world in which there was no murder or theft. This would drive me mad. I like murder. I like to kill people for fun. Here is a fact. Dennis Prager should frighten you.
There's an example of like the ear rape that I was talking about. But that's beautiful. This is the type of stuff that I if I'm not like listening to like a history podcast or something like that, I usually try to find the best YouTube poops, and they always keep coming. They always keep coming. They're never gonna die, and they really are getting better.
Now remains revered in China. Every Chinese currency note has his picture on it. So why doesn't communism have the same terrible reputation as Nazism? Reason number one, they have much better music.
So loud. That's so insanely loud. All right, let's keep going.
Within virtually any time frame, we find the climate changing for reasons we do not fully understand. Meanwhile, human-caused CO2 emissions are higher than ever for reasons we do not fully understand.
I'm Ben Shapiro. Super genius. Imagine a group of activists so powerful that they could beam their propaganda directly into your ass.
You see, that's what I'm talking about, where you can hear the little clipping to where it doesn't flow, but in the other part it flowed just beautifully. But it's still funny nonetheless. We got to hear that back real quick.
Of activists so powerful that they could beam their propaganda directly into your ass. The people making TV don't merely want to entertain you. They want you to think like they think. And unless you're aware of what they think, chances are you think they think they think like you think.
It was the height of the Cold War. The Vietnam War was raging for reasons we do not fully understand.
The God you believe in is not only not good, that God is cruel. That God made a world filled with liberals. That God made a world filled with urine and feces.
This is the part where, especially the part with the liberals, where people are like, I mean, you could have at least edited the video. I don't think this is fair use, because obviously they're always shitting on the left. So pretty nice, pretty good.
That God is a black lesbian toilet. That's the American Trinity. And like the Christian Trinity, you cannot remove any one of the...
I love Prager. This is so great. This is the reason. A lot of times like YouTube poops and stuff like that make me like people that I really didn't care about. Like, say, even when it comes to pro wrestling, I never cared about John Cena. He was just around. And I wasn't watching when John Cena was really popular. I watched the Attitude Era, and then the Ruthless Aggression Era started to start, and I was just like, I'm over it. And it wasn't until all these John Cena memes started popping up, and then I was like, you know what? I think I like John Cena now.
Western civilization, the civilization that ended women's equality, created slavery, created murder. What? In the biblical book of Nehemiah, it says, if someone has a rebellious son who does not obey his father and mother, the citizens could kill him to death with feces.
That's a little subtle one right there. Kill him to death. I love that. Nice redundancy.
I am reorienting the school away from academics and toward unjust suffering. In this school, self-esteem will be attained in only one way, racism. It is my intent that by the time you leave this school, you will be among the few your age to distinguish between urine and feces.
I think that's the third time urine and feces has been mentioned. Pretty good. Awesome, Dennis.
No obscene language will be tolerated anywhere on this school's property. By obscene language, I mean the words and plus epithets such as or
I see that he said the N-word right there.
And you will address all teachers by the N-word. Narcissism.
I'm like, I get it. This is the second time there's a YouTube poop that did the same thing, or they like try to pull a fast one, like, oh, here's the obvious thing, and then they do something that's mild, which it's cute, but at the same time, I mean, come on, let's drop some N-bombs.
An unhealthy preoccupation with condom wearing. The school's clubs will be based on Nazism. Clubs that transport you to the wonders and glories of genocide. It is my
genocide. I love it. Genocide. I love that so much.
Occupation with condom wearing. The school's clubs will be based on Nazism. Clubs that transport you to the wonders and glories of genocide. It is my intent that black students will be this school's property.
Oh, no. I kind of forgot about that, actually. Oh, my goodness.
I will club to death all teachers who students will be this school's property. I will club to death all teachers who teach global warming, and there will be no more attempts to convince you that the earth is round. This school will have failed. If any of you graduate,
Oh my God, that's so good. That is so perfect.
If you leave this school without being murdered or enslaved, this school will have failed.
And then in the end, it just ends with them saying the Pledge of Allegiance, but it's just America, fuck yeah, which was not the best ending. A little on the nose. I think they could have chose something way more egregious, and I would have really enjoyed that. But this is so good. I love this YouTube poop so much, and I hope you guys love it as much as I do. And legitimately, this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. I've just been thinking of, like, how would I do it? Should I do it a part of a podcast, or should I just isolate it on its own? Should I put it on my second channel? I don't know. For now, it's going to be in the podcast, and maybe I will isolate it if people, if there's enough of a demand. We'll see what happens, but I definitely have like a very long laundry list of things that I could choose from. And if you guys have any suggestions of YouTube poops, things that you think that I maybe haven't seen, because there's a lot of obscure ones that I haven't seen, I know that for sure, definitely send them my way. Send them on Twitter at SomeBlackG. Send them on Instagram at SomeBG. Wherever, you can email them to me. Just send them my way if you think I haven't seen them, because oh man, there's some great ones. I think the next one we might tackle is probably going to be a Toy Story one that I've really, really, really grown fond of recently. And that's going to do it for this one. Cheers, and hope you don't get murdered or enslaved. Normally, at the end of the episode, I would answer some questions from you lovely patrons, but like an idiot, I forgot to send out the prompt. Like, hey, make sure you guys ask me some questions, and then I'll answer them at the end. So I apologize, and seriously, I apologize that I haven't been consistent at all. At least the Snark Tank podcast has been consistent, so there's been consistent content on there. And but really, I think I got my mind right, and I think I can start being consistent again and just not get to a point where my head's all over the place, and then it becomes really hard to create, because the unfortunate reality when it comes to, like, say, comedy, when you're usually just kind of ranting, it's not that big of a deal. But when you're trying to be funny, even like remotely, it's hard if you're not on. It's just terrible. And then so you're kind of like, I don't even want to put this shit out because it's just gonna be bad, and I don't want to just put things out just to put things out. You know what I mean? There's plenty of people that fucking do that shit, and you can eat their stuff up. You know, I don't. Whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, listening, whatever you're doing. Maybe you're banging while this is playing in the background, which I highly endorse. That'd actually be really cool. I'd really appreciate that. If that has ever happened, please let me know. And if you guys want to support me, you can hit me up on patreon.com/someblackguy. And this $2 will get you. You can come in and answer some questions or ask some questions. You can ask me anything. That's the best thing. It's an AMA type thing. Doesn't matter how fucked up the question is, I will answer it on the podcast. I guess that's really the whole point of it. But yeah, y'all take care. Hopefully you're staying safe. I know things are opening up for some people now. The pandemic is slowing in some areas, and we're just going to see what happens because things are a little bit weird over here in LA County. And a lot of people are mad because they're talking about, like, say, oh, keep things locked down till August or something. I don't know. All I can say is that I am fortunate that I work from home, but it is a little bit annoying because there's certain things like the fucking gym and riding my bike to the beach, things that I really want to do unbothered, but people are being harassed and shit, and it's just like, all right, whatever, you know, don't go to the fucking beach and ride, but I guess you can swim. I don't get it. Whatever. That's it. I'm out here, guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.